Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast you don't want to be on. Today, our guest is Precious, who started his app called Ditto in 2016. Let's get right into it. Thanks, Precious, for being on the podcast today.
You're
So,
welcome.
I will let you introduce yourself and
Sure.
we'll take it from there.
All right, sure. Hi guys. My name is Nnabuike Precious. I'm originally from Nigeria. I'm currently a SEO consultant for a company called Multiply SEO, which happens to be a company I founded. But yeah, that's pretty much it about me. Yeah.
Okay, so now we'll go back in time for the reason you are here because
Sure.
and your startup was called
Ditto.
Ditto.
Yeah.
So let's start how it started. Okay, we'll go a little bit back more since you're the first expat
Right.
on the podcast who I'm sure you had to. Oh, that was not your first thing here,
Oh
right?
no, definitely
So you
not.
had
Yeah. Yeah.
so i- if you had some issues with like some issues with sorting visas out and all that.
Right.
If you want to go into that, it's up to you. Otherwise, we start from detail, like how
Right.
that started, when it started.
Right. Sure. Going back, I came here. Maybe I'll just go a bit back, like how I ended up in Malaysia. Right? 'Cause
Yeah,
that might
it's
be like
far
something-
from home, right?
Yeah. So I basically came here to study. So most of my siblings studied in the UK,
Okay.
right? So naturally, like typical Nigerian parents will always want your kid to go abroad to study US, UK. That's why if you check these two countries, there's tons of Nigerians because there's better education out there. So I was meant to go to the UK, but I decided not to go. I wanted to go somewhere far from my family, right? So I was like, what other continent is far from home? Asia is one of them. So I basically started applying, and that's how I ended up here, right? Because it was easier to get a uni here as compared to other Asian countries, right? Ended up here studying. After that, I started working for first job I got was more of an internship. I worked with like a software development company called Netium, somewhere in KL. And after that, I worked for Lazada. It's 2014 for almost a year.
When did you come here?
I came here 2010. Yeah.
Oh, and then
2010.
the first 3-4 years were uni.
Studying, yeah,
Okay.
uni, yeah. Then after that, right after that, I started working.
Oh, Lazada has been there that long?
Yeah, Lazada, I think when I joined was 2014. That was when Lazada we're basically going out to beg people, please come join Lazada. We'll help you upload your
Okay.
first 10, 20 SKUs so you can go live.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was like when Lazada was fairly new, yeah, in Malaysia. Yeah.
Okay. Uh,
And yeah, sorry. I was gonna say after that, I then moved down from Lazada. I went to go join this company, Glasses Group Global. It's called GGG for short. That's where I basically met like some of the other co-founders in the startup, right? Andre, Edwin, and so on, right? So working for that company, tons of like super smart people. And then me and Andre used to always go out for lunch every now and then. So we used to always talk like, oh, it'd be nice to actually have our own startup and stuff. And then like this 2015, 2016, the startup scene in Malaysia was crazy, right? I think that was the period when they birthed a lot of startup in Malaysia. So we always were like seeing all the news and stuff. We're like, oh, we have to do our own stuff, and we started thinking about ideas, and that's how basically Ditto started. Yeah.
Okay. And the idea. So what did Ditto do? For our
Ditto is basically an activity on demand platform. So the idea of Ditto was like, if you needed, say you wanted to go for badminton and you're one person short and you need someone to go for badminton, you can put up a request. Hey guys, I've got badminton at 5:00. Who wants to go, right? And then people can then accept your request. You have a list of everybody that's interested in your request. You have an option to chat with them and then basically vibe and see if it's someone you want to like go out with or like have on this activity. If all good, then you accept their basically their invitation, right? Or more of like you accept their invite to your invitation, right?
So it wasn't gender based, like guys couldn't send an invite to girls.
No.
So it was
it was just
because the purpose was not like Tinder. It was
it was
just
not like
only
Tinder,
activities.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
But I'm sure a lot of hookups happen.
Yeah, I
because
mean,
it's natural. It's natural.
Yeah, because you put out your app there, you have like, oh, this is the usage of the app. People are gonna be like, no, this is what we want to use this app for, basically.
As long as it works, you're okay with it.
So that's how it basically went. But like the whole gender thing, we actually saw that there was a huge requests that were like gender specific, right? So for example, a guy will say, I want to go on a date, right? Because we had the backend start, we can see who accepted and who said yes to it. It's mostly like a guy put up a request, a girl will say yes, right? And at one point, I mean, I'll be fair, it was like almost like a sausage fest because we had like tons of guys and less amount of girls, right? So when a girl pulls up a request, you have like 50
I mean,
guys saying yes to
oh,
it.
yeah.
So yeah, that's why it was crazy at one point. Yeah.
So how did this idea come to you guys to do this specifically? Was there a market in the
Right.
gap, or did you see some other
Right.
app already doing this? You said, "Oh, we can do it better."
Right.
How did the idea come?
So what we try to do, like there was no other specific app. There were apps for different things. So I think there's an app called Meeting or Meetup.com. It's a website where you can actually organize group events, like weekly hiking and or like car clubs. People then join in on that. We had that, and there was like the other likes of it, like Tinder, Coffee Meet Bagel. So the idea was for we had in mind was like, how can we create an app where there's like it limits the initial, like it reduces the tension of the whole ice breaking process, right? But like you want to meet someone new, but you don't want to start like, hey, my name is this, what do you do? And then why don't you just craft out an activity that like you like and see if any other person likes the activity and they will say yes to it, and you guys can bond from there. So that was the main purpose of having this app. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter male or female
Yeah,
or
it doesn't
okay.
matter. Yeah, but we over time we basically saw that it was more of like it was cross gender. Like a guy
Okay.
would put up and then a girl would say yes to it. It's very limited times that we actually saw like a guy put up a request and he basically ended up going out with a guy. It's mostly like things like sports or there's one request we got like a guy put up a request. He said he wanted to go fishing, and then a guy said yes to it and girl said yes to it, but ended up going out with a girl for the fishing event. Yeah.
Okay. And they made back in one piece.
Yeah, like we were really scared about that one, right? Because like that like is a proper setup for like the beginning of like a horror movie. Like going fishing, like out in the open, like in the river and stuff. Like I could easily go bad, but thank goodness it didn't go. Yeah, it didn't go.
Yeah, but
bad.
that risk is anywhere, anyway.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. Yeah.
So this was, and you had two co-founders or just
Yeah.
two co-founders?
Yeah.
In total?
So it was me, Andre, and then we had another guy, Edward.
Okay.
Come in. Yeah.
You were what were your roles?
Right. So mine was more from a tech standpoint.
So you were the CTO?
Of sort, yeah.
Okay.
Like, I don't think we ever had like all those titles. We're just like, oh, you get the tech shit started, and yeah. So Andre came in from marketing, and the other guy was more of like events, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe like how we like all came together was like Andre actually started the whole thing, right? He was like the brains behind it. Like we talked about like starting it, but like it never happened. You know how you talk about a million and one things, you never do it. So Andre actually started the whole thing. Then he was like, hey dude, like I've actually started this. I'm like, holy shit, like yeah, it's actually coming together. Then I was like, okay, I'm jumping right in, and we started working, and then we got Edward to come in. Because what we did and wanted to do then when we got him in was we wanted to pair this with event, right? So the idea of this app was to help reduce the whole stigma, like ice breaking and whatnot, right? People being awkward and not knowing how to like converse, and there are people that just like to meet in person and talk. They don't like all the like whole like chatting on apps and stuff like that. It can be very fake in a sense. So the whole idea was to actually pair this with actual events. So we started organizing house parties as well. So we needed someone that was just on that, right? And Edward was the guy like he really likes partying and stuff. So he came in to help organize all those house parties. Yeah.
So you guys were organizing parties yourself. So you
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then people would pay to go to those parties? Like, would they pay cover charge?
Right. Initially, we started with like your own BYOB, bring your own booth kind of thing, bring your own food. And then we saw that like it was more like, again, sausage fest, right? So what we then started doing, we made it free for girls to come in, and then guys will pay cover charge. Why we do that is because guys have to go through like a registration process. We use Eventbrite, so we can then basically get a good amount of guys and good amount of girls, right? If not, just like one girl, like it's kind of like she's on a speed dating thing, right, where she has to talk to 10 other guys. Like it doesn't make sense. So we try to get that balance, and that was one of the way we had to like initiate the whole cover charge and get guys to register. Yeah.
And that was your plan to monetize, like the road to monetization of the app?
Yes.
From day one?
It wasn't the plan day one. We basically had to like pivot and like change that.
But when you started it, what was your plan? That how will you make money?
Right. So that was actually a very silly thing when we think about it. Like, so you know how you pay like all the dating app nowadays, you have like a premium account where you
Yes, yes.
actually get like you can get more likes and whatnot, right? So our idea was to do something like that, right? So
Okay.
you have like a request cap, right? So you can only put up like one request like a week or something like that. And then if you wanted to put up more requests, then you have to buy coins in this case, right? On the app, right? And
Okay.
then you can use that to put up a request. So like you reload your account with like 1,000 coins, and one request is like 100 coins. That way we can actually make money off it. And the other
Uh-huh.
plan we had was to actually put up like a so the person that accepts the request gets paid, right? So you
Paid
see,
in coins?
yeah, in coins that you
Okay.
can then cash out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the idea was like I can't remember exactly, but I know there was a legal issue with actually getting paying people and stuff like that
Yeah,
on the app.
because
Yeah.
if so, you send me a request.
Mm-hmm.
If I accepted it,
Yeah.
I was supposed to get coins,
Yeah.
which I could cash out, like
Yeah.
for real cash.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's not good
Yeah.
because then you have to pay, right,
Yeah. Yeah.
from your pocket or from your revenues.
Yes.
Okay, okay,
But like the person that puts up the request would say, for example, this request, I'm gonna pay you 50 ringgit if you go to play futsal with me, and then someone accepts it, and then you give them a percentage of that, maybe 90% of that 50 ringgit. So you take 10% revenue.
okay.
Yeah, but still, like I can't remember exactly, but there was issues with actually doing a cash to cash transaction. That's why we had to change it into using coin on the platform,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you can actually cash that out. I think it's the same thing with Facebook, right? I don't think you can you have to give people like the Facebook coin. You don't exactly give them, hey, I'm giving you 50 ringgit, right? Even
Yeah.
like all this other like streaming platform, you have to pay using a coin. I can't remember exactly why, but I think yeah, there's an issue with that. So we went with the coin approach. But ideally, those were like the two initial monetization strategies we had, and then we had to pivot down the line. Yeah.
But you didn't. So these two plans, what you had, the buying coins
Mm-hmm.
and the other, sorry, other
Mm-hmm.
one, it didn't happen. It was just the idea.
We installed it in the app. We had like people beta testing it, and we were like, okay, no, that's not a good idea. It's not gonna make
Yes.
us money at the long run. And that was also the time when we had, because we applied for like Credo Fund,
Uh
right?
huh.
I think Credo Fund then was like 500K. They give you 500K, and you
Yeah,
got
they
to
have two sprint and spark and sprint
yeah,
ones for the initial idea. The other
yeah,
one is
yeah, yeah,
maybe it
yeah,
was
yeah,
different
yeah.
back then. Okay.
But yeah, we applied for that, and during I think our second meeting with them, we're going through like the whole monetization strategy, and then that was when like a switch flip in our heads, like oh shit, this is not like the way to go, right? Maybe like it makes more sense to go down the event route, so we get people to actually promote their event on our platform, right? Because also one of the things that happened there was this one girl. She was every other week she put up a request that who wants to go partying, right? And then a lot of people will actually accept. And then we spoke to her. It turns out that she's actually what's the word for it? She basically helps them promote the activities at the club. So she uses different channels and
Ah.
promotes that, right? She even goes on Tinder, right? And then
Oh.
she'll get people to like, oh, guys, to actually follow. She'll like, I'm gonna be at this club, and all the people will go there. So we spoke to her. That's what she did. Her strategy, it works for her, I guess. And so we thought about it. It actually makes sense. We can basically go to all these events and then tell them, hey, we've got this amount of like monthly active users, right? We can actually promote, and the whole premise of the app is basically to get people to go do stuff, right? So why don't we just help you promote this, and that way we can actually make money, and that way we thought about it. It makes sense long term, right? To always do that, yeah.
Okay. And did you get the fund, the Credo grant at the end, or
No,
no? You
because like
didn't.
the app on its own is it's a touchy subject, right? Because it's like, hey, guy and girl do this, and there's
Yes.
a
So
lot
it
of like,
could
yeah,
lead to other things which probably they didn't want to get into. Okay. So and who was fund? So till now the app is ready. It's launched. You have
uh-huh.
users. Who has funded this till now? Was it bootstrap?
Yeah,
Did you raise
bootstrap all
money?
the way.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
bootstrap all the way, and it was quite expensive, right? Looking back at it, it was quite expensive because we are paying a team in Romania
Oh,
to
the
do, yeah,
developers.
developers, right, to do that, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, because they had this, they had their own like infrastructure, kind of like a Shopify for app development, right? So it was easy for you to quickly put in modules and customize it fairly quickly, as compared to like the actual like development of the app, right? If you're doing it like from scratch on your own, right? You have to spend months to actually develop, depending on the resource you have, right? But they have modules where you can basically drag and drop, and they'll just customize it a bit, and you can have it within like 2 weeks.
Okay.
Right. So we were paying for that, and but it was quite expensive. Looking back at it, if I was to do it now, I'll basically just hire like someone to do it. Yeah.
And how much did you spend by that time, if you don't mind me asking?
It's quite a lot. Like a month, we spend like 2,000 plus USD. Yeah.
Okay, so around 10,000.
Yeah,
A
10,000.
little over
Yeah,
10.
yeah.
Well, you take so this Ditto was your full-time job
I know. We we would die if that was like a full time.
for none of the co-founders. So
No,
this was your part-time
yeah, this
gig.
was a part time thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we're all working. So when we kicked aside, then we're all working for the same company, GGG, as I mentioned earlier. We're basically working for the company, and then we basically just do this on the
So
side.
this is
Yeah.
on the side. Oh, okay. All right. So then, what happened after that?
So we basically let it run. It was still draining money, right? And we then did the whole event thing, right? So we got like, I think we hosted like few, maybe three, four that we actually paid gigs with us, right? Some of them were like the partners. So we did one at Trek.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of the bar. It's like it has like a, I can't remember the name of the bar, but we basically did a partnership with them. They had an event. They have live band downstairs. They basically said, okay, you guys can have the whole of the top floor for your thing, and then we just want to get more people to come to the event. And we actually delivered, right? We got like a decent amount of people to come for the event, and basically paid us for that gig. And we had some other venue. We did one with it's called Wonder Mama. That one did in Bangsa, but they shut
Okay.
down now. But yeah, it didn't work. That one didn't work out well. But like it was starting to pick up. But also that time where like we've already been used up a lot of our funds and whatnot. So we're like, how is this gonna work out, right? So we slowed down on it because then we also used to run Facebook ads. We used to actively organize house parties, right? And then there was like this whole Airbnb restriction of like running house parties and whatnot. So
Yeah.
that kind of like toned down as well because we have a place, but we don't always want to be running parties in the same place, right? It just makes it boring, right? You end up getting the same crowd, right? So over time, it basically we just had to like wind down. But the good thing that happened after like 6 months of everything just almost being quiet was that we got approached by this guy from Tanchong Group, one of the brothers and the Tanchong Group. They wanted to actually acquire us, right? The whole startup and also us as resource. So me and Andre to come work for them, right? So it went well. We had like a couple of meetings with them. It was good. So they liked the app and the concept of it, right? I think the guy, I don't know where he saw it, but he saw it and then he's like, okay, this is quite cool. And I want the people that worked on this to come work for me and also bring this idea to our platform. So one of what they wanted to do was to have us help them the same concept, but create some sort of like a call center using that same sort of like concept.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's like you basically people come reach out because they sell like all this insurance and whatnot, right? So they wanted to make it like, okay, you put up a request and then someone accepts it. It's typical how like chat, right, or all
Yeah,
this like call
yeah.
center works, right? It gets like assigned to this person and whatnot. So they just wanted us to come with that angle and see if there are like fresh ways we can make the younger generation like engage more with them because it's a very old company, right? And they're still stuck in their old ways. So that was the conversation we're having then. That was all good, but I think what made us not take up the offer was like they wanted to bond us for like 5 years.
Oh, to work for them.
Yes.
Okay. And did they make an offer?
Yes.
Was it a good
Yeah,
offer?
it was a good offer. Yeah, but like, and also they're gonna be paying us salary. So they're gonna the offer was like they'll buy out the company. Like we told them like this is the numbers. They're like okay, yeah, and then they're also gonna pay us a decent salary.
Okay.
Then right, and but the only thing is like they're gonna bond us for 5 years. And I mean, me personally, working for a company for 5 years, at least back then, didn't sound like a good idea. Like yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was so that's how the company then eventually just died.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I mean, if we're not gonna get acquired, and then we're not gonna like keep doing it because we don't really have funds to sustain it for long, and yeah, we just had to like slowly let it die down. Yeah.
And you guys never thought of going like raising funds from angel investors, VCs, after you got rejected by Cradle?
Right. We actually did reach out to few of them. I can remember there was one in Bangsa. Yeah, two of them. They're still there right up till date. We actually went and joined all those. We even joined accelerator program,
Okay.
and we also went. There was 2017. We went for this competition in Google. So Google had this thing called the Startup Weekend. So we went there in Singapore. So actually it's not under Google's by this team, but we had that one event at Google HQ in
Oh, wow.
Singapore, right? So we went there and we got split. So you come in with your, like, say you come in with your co-founder or your team, but during that event they'll split you. We didn't know that, so we thought we were gonna go like, hey, we're gonna go pitch Ditto and see how we can make
okay.
it. But they then split us, right? So me, I had to go to another team, and Andre went to another team. So his team went with like the whole Ditto idea, and then they had a twist to it. And me, I had to like join the idea of the other team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are doing all those stuff in just so we can reach out to a lot more like influential people that might, like VCs and whatnot, that might be interested in it. Because that startup weekend, the second phase of it, because it's a 72-hour thing, like you guys get very little sleep, right? But you're gonna run from the start all 72 hours, and you're meant to show your MVP of your product, right?
By the end of it.
Yeah. And the
Okay.
day two, you're gonna have mentors from VCs come mentor you guys on tweaks you need to make it more presentable at the end of the day. So that was also good exposure for us because we knew how the whole process works. So we thought of like we're gonna be a team, go present Ditto, get VCs to be interested, and potentially after the whole thing, we'll then reach out to them and get a deal or whatnot, right? So that was our initial thought, but we got split, so we didn't see that coming. But yeah, we're actively looking for like ways to get funding. But I mean, the idea, I wouldn't say the idea is like original, super original, that like most ideas out there. But at that point in time, I think the market wasn't that ready for that kind of like startup. Yeah.
Okay. And you did meet to VCs or with VCs and
yes.
in Malaysia
Yes.
and were they were they okay for it, or they were like, what the fuck you guys are doing, it makes no sense,
Right.
like VCs being VCs, like what was the feedback you got?
Right. So most of them, where they had issues was the whole monetization thing, right?
Yeah, that was my first question. How would you make money?
Yeah, exactly. So like when we because we had to like update the slides and whatnot, so we went with the event route. So the first VC we went to, the one in Bangsa, was fairly like the initial stage when we went with the whole monetization of people paying people. So it didn't really make sense for them. They didn't go like, oh, what the heck is this? But like they were like, they gave very brutally honest feedback, which was great. So we had that in the back of our mind. So that's why the monetization, at one point we were like, dude, we need to really rethink this whole thing, right? And we had that light bulb moment. The second VC was one in Puchong. Sometimes I'm very bad with names. I can't remember the name, but it's at Puchong. We went there. They had this whole accelerator program. Like before you even pitch to them, I think you have to spend like 2 weeks with their team. They'll help you. Like they have the first vetting stage. If they kind of like you, then they'll ask you to come in for that 2 weeks, and after that 2 weeks, then they decide if they want to invest in you and whatnot, right?
Okay.
So we did that whole thing. Then it was Andre that did the whole Puchong thing. He used to go there. I went there like twice. Because of work, I couldn't take a lot of time off because at that point in time, we were working for 2 different companies then, and mine didn't give me that flexibility, right? So Andre did most of it. But after the whole thing, the monetization thing was still the problem. Yeah, it was still like, yeah, you can make money from this, but you can't make the type of money that VCs will be like. Okay,
yeah, if they're giving you one, they want 100 in return, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So they didn't see that at that point. Yeah.
Okay, and did you guys ever think about going ECF, the crowdfunding route, or
no? We never thought
you
about
never thought
that.
about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We never thought about the crowdfunding. Right? I'm not even sure if that was a huge thing back then. I know you had like the GoFundMe, but it was like GoFundMe is for super shiny, flashy
No,
stuff. Right?
So GoFundMe is for individuals. Like,
Right.
I broke my leg, I don't
Yeah.
have money, give me fucking money. ECF, like pitch in and my starter and all that.
Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, even that, like Kickstarter,
Kickstarter's
it's
like-
again, it's not So that's crowdfunding, yes, but
Yeah.
you're giving a product at the end
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
day.
yeah. I meant Kickstarter, not GoFundMe. Like what the
Yeah.
heck?
But equity crowdfunding is where you pitch your business
Uh-huh.
and then you give equity in return to
To
the.
the no,
Yeah. Oh, you never.
we never went down that route. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, I think you didn't even know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We
Okay.
didn't even know that was a thing. Yeah, I thought it
Okay.
was like more of like the Kickstarter. I was saying GoFundMe. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean
Kickstarter. Yeah,
it's crowdfunding, but
yeah.
it's for equity. It's mostly for
Right,
to companies. Because on Kickstarter, it's you give me money,
uh
I'll
huh,
give you a product at the end of
right,
6 months or
uh-huh,
whatever,
uh-huh.
and then most of the time it doesn't happen. People
Yeah,
run away. But
yeah, yeah. I
with
heard a
this,
lot
it's
of stories.
different. It's different. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, uh, so that
Mm-hmm.
by what year was it now that you guys said
I
it's done?
think this was 2018. Yeah,
Okay.
2018. Yeah, I think it was done. Yeah.
Okay, and you mentioned that
Mm.
none of you guys were full time in this.
Yes, yes.
Do you think the death of
Mm-hmm.
your startup,
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons
Mm-hmm.
was that you guys were not like
Full
committed
time.
fully?
I would say like yeah, a small percentage of it could be that because like if we're full time in it, then we can easily pivot like very fast. Like okay, this has to be make the decision, like work towards it. But like then it like took like a while for us. Okay, we have to get on a meeting. This is it. But we also needed to do that out of our, like our 9 to 5, and sometimes you're super stressed, you delay stuff and
Yeah,
whatnot. Like yeah,
if you're working for another company, they suck the life out of you
yeah,
for that day, and
yeah,
after that, you cannot run a company.
yeah.
You can't run a company on the weekends.
Uh-huh.
You have families. You have friends to see. So, like in my experience, if the founder or the co-founder is not full time, like investors won't even
Yeah.
talk to you. They're like, you're wasting our time
Yeah.
because you're not fully committed.
Yeah.
You think this is a side gig, and you expect us to give you your
yeah,
money,
yeah.
like to run it. It's too the start.
True, yeah. I think the Bansa VC actually mentioned that like yeah, you guys are not doing this full time. And Cradle, right, they also had that comment also, you guys are not doing this full time. And yeah.
And did you guys ever think, like, sat down and think about, like, we really believe in this product, this app?
Right.
Should we quit our jobs and focus on this? Did it ever come to that
Right.
stage or no?
Yeah. Andre actually at one point was doing this like full time. So he basically switched the whole thing, right? Where he's basically working on this full time and doing his previous full time job as a part time thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so he had to do that. Yeah, because like we take in comments from like feedback from the
Yeah.
VCs, right? And we're like, okay, how do we do this? So when we go talk to the next person, we're like, oh, he's doing it full time, but this guy's not doing it full
Okay,
time.
as long
right?
as one,
Oh, yeah, exactly.
one is full time,
Yeah.
because if it's all part time,
Yeah.
then I mean
Yeah.
they won't entertain you.
Because also
That's my
for me
experience.
personally, right, why I couldn't do it full time was because of the visa, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. That
yeah.
was I was gonna come to that because for foreigners it's different because
Yeah.
in order to get that you have to register the company. It has to have like a certain
Yeah,
amount of revenue,
$500,000. Yeah,
and then register it for
Yeah.
MSC status, and you're not sure if you're gonna get it or
Yeah.
not. And even after getting that, you're not sure if you'll get the quota for the visa.
yeah.
So because of legal
Yeah.
problems, you couldn't commit
Yeah,
full time because you had to have your
I
visa.
had to, yeah. Because I mean, if
Okay.
obviously you have to find another way to do it, and like all those processes do take time, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What was it like when you guys decided to shut it down? Was it like sad for you guys? Was it emotional? Like how emotionally invested were you guys in this? 'Cause
Yes.
from what I can sense or tell, it was just something on the side.
No,
No,
way.
was it? No, you guys were like,
way. I still have the app on my phone.
oh wow,
Like,
really? Okay.
Like it's out of the app store. I can't download the app. And
yeah, but
whatnot.
it's still there.
It's still there. Like I'm not deleting it. Like that's how like connected.
oh, so
I am
okay,
to
so
the,
my
yeah.
bad. I read it wrong. Okay.
Yeah, because like it's something we really spend time doing, and we enjoy the whole process of it, like learning and like the data. Like, oh, this is for example, people. This is the amount of requests we get on a weekly basis. What if we do this? Will we get a lot more requests? And it also opened our eyes to see how like other competitors actually do things, right? So like a lot of like I'm digressing here a bit, but I'm just gonna go back to this. I'm gonna say like some of these other apps, right, especially in the dating app, right? Sometimes you notice that you go on an app, right? You register, right? You swipe and that's it, right? You're on the freemium version of the app, and all of a sudden you start to see a lot of people like you, right? But you can see who they are, right? And when you now pay, upgrade, and like those people back, they wouldn't interact with you. right? So most of the times, all these platforms actually create a lot of fake profiles, right? Put up all those requests just to get like the engagement up, right?
Oh.
So it made us start to realize that, hey, what are we doing differently, right? What are we not doing like these other apps that actually getting a lot of these users and stuff? So we start to think and like really go like under the microscope to see exactly what these guys are doing, and we learned a lot doing it, right? And then we're like, oh, we don't want to be like this app, right? We don't want to be putting out fake requests just to get engagement and whatnot, right? So what we then did was like we started like marketing it with the whole event, like this event is coming up, and so we'll send push notification, we have this event, have you put up a request, this, or like we've got like 2 more requests for today, check it out and stuff like that. So we really scratched our brain to get like create like marketing strategies to actually get more engagement. We didn't go like the quick way out of like creating all those fake profiles. So we really invested our time in it and like growing that. And when it didn't work out, like yeah, we definitely felt it. We're like shit, like
What is the traction like? Like at the peak, what was how many users were there? What is the engagement like?
I would say on a monthly active user, we had like 10-20K.
Oh, that's a big number.
Yeah, because like one thing that helped us was the Vulcan Post article. So if you search online, you still see it, right? They called it an app to help you when people FFK you and stuff, right? So the app, so the post went out on Vulcan Post, right? And that day we had like more than 8,000 downloads.
Just for because of one article.
Yeah, because of that one post. Yeah.
And you said monthly active users were 8 to 10K. No,
10 to 20.
Oh, 10 to 20K.
Yeah. But it fluctuates though. Like I think it was on the when we launched it, the peak, it was around that, and it did drop after that. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but on average, let's say 15,000.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
And even then, it went so bad that you guys you couldn't monetize it. Like the events weren't happening. Like
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand why from having 15,000
Right.
active users
Right.
on
On the
on
platform,
average,
yeah.
and then you still couldn't monetize because 15,000 users is a lot.
Yeah.
It's a big number.
So I think one of the things that happened, like when it came out initially, people wanted to try it, right? So they were using it. There was like engagement on the app. But what we also realized is that in the market, like people put out requests, right? But they'll chat with people, they'll end up not going for it, right? And then everybody they had like they chat with, right? Of like, I'm sure they'll be like, what the fuck, right? What's happening here? So I'm using
It's okay. This is not for kids anyways.
So it's like people are like, what the heck is happening, right? And it happens a couple of times, right? You basically just lose you basically don't want to use the app anymore, right? So one of the things that happened was that we just noticed that a lot of people just want to chat and stay on the app. Like a very small amount of them were actually going out for the actual event, right? And then other thing is like that also saw it decline quite a fair bit was a lot of guys started putting up requests like, oh, I want to have sex, and they'll put their condo, name of their condo as a request.
Also, of course, that's asking for trouble.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So like it just basically went. So one of the things we did to curb that was to put in like a bad word filter, so you can use things like sex and hookup stuff like that. But guys being guys, they found a way to put up. Yeah. So like that would just basically just put off a lot of growth. We saw like the uninstall for like female users actually drop quite a fair bit. And what with guys also, if there's not a lot of females entertaining them, they'll just like, okay, I'm just gonna jump on the next thing, right? So that's like beginning of like our decline in terms of like engagement and monthly active user. But at the peak, we actually had that, yeah.
Okay.
So that was a huge problem for us, and we couldn't find a way to really solve that. Like how would you we put up warning, like if you put up this request like twice, we basically delete your account
ban
and stuff.
you.
Yeah. But still, like there's still a huge chunk of people doing that, right? So
yeah, with 15,000 active users, I assume most were guys.
Yeah, a huge chunk of them
And
were guys,
if let's say out of like 70% were guys, and even out of that 70%, 15% were doing this kind of shit.
Yeah.
So I mean, just the moderation would kill you guys because you would have to hire people to go through that.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the reasons of
yes, that was like that was the biggest reason for us why like there was a decline in like our uninstalls. Yeah. I still have screenshot of some of those like activities that people put up. I'm like, what the heck is this guy doing? Yeah. And we have yeah Facebook because like what we did also to help like with the age limitation thing was like you had to have a Facebook account, and Facebook had the whole filter then, right? You needed to be like 18 and above, right, to put that up. And we most of these guys we have their Facebook profile, so we go on the app, we see that, we go on Facebook and we tell them, guys, please stop putting up requests like this. We actually have that conversation with them, right? Some of them will be like, yeah. Some of them will reply us and they'll just continue doing. Some of them will say yes and then they'll tweak the language, but it's still the same intent,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, yeah, it really hurt us to have that. And since it's an event based, it's the first basically first thing you see on the app, right? It's already bad, right? All this kind of stuff happen on Tinder, but just that you have to match with the person and the person says it to you, right?
Yes.
But it's not like you open Tinder and the first thing you see is a request to have like
Yeah.
it's a different.
But Tinder is made for this,
Yeah.
right? It's a hookup app. But you guys weren't. So
Yeah.
your intention wasn't there.
But end of the day, people just use it how they want.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that was one of the things that really hurt us. Yeah.
But now you mentioned Facebook, so then I thought, then how was it different from, because at that time Facebook was very the users, it had a lot of people using Facebook, unlike today. And Facebook has all sorts of groups like badminton players of Bangsar or of Mont Kiara and whatever. So what was
The
different? Yeah, you guys were doing differently than stopping me. If I want to play badminton today, that I have to download your app, sign up, give you my data.
Right.
And people didn't care. A lot of people still don't care. They just sign up. For me, that I sign up, I just join the group on an already existing platform, which I'm already a member of. How was then?
Right. So yeah, that's actually a good question. So our or at least value proposition then was more of like, we give you what you're interested in, but also give you more, right? So like you said, all the Facebook group, like if you are, if I was to compare that with like Facebook, I'll say like our app is basically the equivalent of you joining like 100 Facebook groups, right? You don't have to join one for badminton, you don't have to join one for going partying, for fishing, but you basically had that in one app, right? And it's more of like people put up all sorts of requests, right? Like it could be like, hey, I want to go badminton. I want someone to come go with me for like this cool event, or like very like it could be very random stuff, right? But like it's a wider net as compared to like, oh, I'm just gonna go for badminton and whatnot. Yeah.
Okay, so that was your selling point. Okay,
and
it worked well.
And it was also made for people that are like out here. One of the ideal target audience for people that are very awkward in like starting conversations and whatnot, right? So yeah.
Okay. Then from all this, what's your biggest lesson learned?
Right. I would say one of the biggest one would definitely be to just take the market for what it is, right? So one of the things we are thinking is that, oh, this is something people are gonna over time get used to. Right, and then let's create this, and then over time people, because there's Tinder, people will be more open to going on this and going to like meet random people. But what the market at that point was, it wasn't ready for all this kind of stuff, right? Yeah, even then, like Tinder usage was there, but it wasn't as strong. This was like 2016, 2017, right? It was actually there, but it wasn't that strong usage. I mean, I would say mass adoption, right? Nowadays, it's like, it's crazy. If you go on Tinder, like so many people, like all the dating apps, you've got tons of people. Then it wasn't, right? So we're thinking like, yeah, people are going to use it, adopt it over time, which is fair because it did happen, but we thought it was going to be sooner, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And still like for all this dating app, right? If you check the stats, most of the conversation always just happens online. It doesn't lead to offline meetup, right? So we're thinking people will be more open to going offline, right? But even up to date, it's still like a huge chunk of it just happens and dies online, right? But our app was all around like taking it offline. Yeah.
Okay. And as you said, you think it was way ahead of its time.
Yes.
Your product.
Yeah.
So okay, now given the resources today, if you have not unlimited money, but if you, let's say, I don't know, if you are given $1 million or million ringgits, and will you do it today? The same thing?
Right. I would do it today, but I would make it more, I'll initially start off with making it very group focused, right? So you have different variations of it, right? which is like a group. If you want a group activity, hiking, weekly hiking group, car group, and stuff like that, have a section for that. Like this, you can subscribe. Kind of like how Bumble does. Like you have like the BFF and then the actual dating would have stuff like that where you can actually, if you just want to subscribe, if it's badminton that's your thing, you subscribe to that. Because nowadays nobody uses Facebook. At least I don't, and I know
Yeah,
Facebook usage just dropped, right?
it dropped.
Yeah.
It's called thing for old people. Actually, a funny story. I was once in my office like a couple of years ago in a co-working space, and so I was doing my thing. Actually, I was on Facebook at the time, and there was another company, then another two young kids sitting. You know, they were working for another company. And they were talking, and they're like, "Oh, well, did you see that on Facebook?" And the girl goes, "Facebook? That's for old people." And I was on Facebook at that time, like not old people. She said, "That's for grandparents." I felt like, you know, I heard a shatter. And I was like, close, go back to work. Which is true.
Yeah.
Facebook is just full of shit right now.
Yeah.
And even if you scroll, if you see 10 posts, I think 6 of them would be just random bullshit ads,
Yeah.
which you have no interest in.
Yeah.
And yeah, Facebook, I don't use it at all.
Yeah. I for me, only reason I still have my Facebook account is to use the social login feature to log into other apps like Canva and the rest. But going back to that, like I'll definitely do the group thing, and then because like there's a lot of like it will just end up being like an events platform, honestly. Like you can have like a group thing, and then you can have like a, if you want to do a one-on-one event, you can actually subscribe to which one best suits you. But the idea is to have you on the app engaging with stuff, right? And then we can also do things like for example, potentially integrate like selling tickets, like event tickets and whatnot, right? Because that's the whole premise of the app, of being a platform where you can either like subscribe to the event that you want to go to, or be open to getting invitation from random people and exploring that option. Yeah.
Okay. So, and since then, since you guys call it quits, has something like this come up, or not really?
Not that I know of. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because then we basically went in, like we checked like all the apps, like from the dating apps in Europe, Asia. We basically subscribed to all of them, and then I've not heard of any other app that has come out that is doing anything close to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Most of the app is still revolving around dating. Yeah.
So I mean, that's what I'm thinking. If nothing has come up, so do you still think there's no place for this product in the market?
Right.
Let me put it another way. So when you were meeting with investors back in the day, did they ever question your business model, or did they ever question your product? Like, nobody needs it.
Right.
Did it come to that?
Right. We never got that. The only thing we got was just more of the monetization. How did they make money of it? Because it's a different take on how people go about stuff, and there's always gonna be like interesting use cases for that, right? But just that, how do you then milk people like to pay for this platform? That would be the only thing that like that. So I think till today, like if you ask me to redo it, right, that's this part where I have to spend a lot of time thinking about how to do that, like how to really monetize it, that I'll get like enough money to get a VC like really interested in it, right? Yeah, because even with the events, yeah, you can still get money, but how do I get users to pay for it, right? So it's something I really need to. Yeah.
But see, in my experience, if you're coming up with a product, and if you have to spend a lot of time thinking about how you will make money from it, then there's no need for it.
Right.
You get my point, right? So, but you're still saying that you will do it if funding is not an issue.
Yes.
You would still do it, and you will make it work.
Yes. But I also have like other ideas I'll probably want to prioritize first. But like if someone wants to say like, okay, if you're gonna revive this, I'm gonna give you funding for it, and you just have to do this, right? I'll definitely still want to do it, because there's a lot of use cases for it. I at least I think in my head, and how I can angle that to work out. Yeah.
Because as you said, the average 15,000 active users on it. So
yeah,
there must be a reason. What the fuck were they looking for if they weren't?
Yeah.
And you were operational for how long?
Say 3 years, 2 to 3
Yeah,
years.
so 3 years, that's a long time, right? So 3 years, uh, active users of around 15,000 a month.
Right.
That's a wow, 3 years. I thought that it would be less.
Yeah, at 2 to 3 years,
3 years,
yeah.
okay.
But it's
That's
like
still a long
yeah,
time.
at some point it was more of like, oh, it's just there chilling. Like we're not like spending on ads,
So it
and we're
was
not.
kind of on autopilot.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So it wasn't making money. You
yeah,
couldn't raise any money,
yeah,
and you decided to just
yeah. Just
take it,
basically,
offload it from
yeah.
the. What happened after that? Like, let's. What has happened since then? Because
Uh
it's you
huh.
know the one of the reasons of having this podcast is
Uh
to talk to the founders who
huh.
fucked up their
Uh huh.
their startups.
Uh
But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're all
huh.
fucking losers. So I mean that's
Yeah.
because some emails I've gotten. I mentioned in my
Mm,
previous podcast
mm,
as well that oh that what happened and
uh-huh.
because people think if your startup is dead, you're fucking
Yeah.
dead,
Yeah.
which is kind of true. It depends how
Yeah.
invested you are or how
Yeah.
emotionally attached you are. If let's say if that's all you were doing,
Right.
no job, no
Yeah.
other
Uh-huh.
financial, we weren't getting any salary from anywhere else, then it would be a big deal for you, right? Like
Yeah.
it would break you
Yeah.
the day you called it quits.
Yeah.
But luckily you had another job.
Yeah.
So people think, oh fuck, what happened to the
Yeah.
startup?
True. True. True.
The founder probably is in a mental asylum, all depressed and shit, on popping pills like candies.
Yeah.
So yeah. So after that happened, what year was it that you?
Yeah. 28. Yeah. 2018, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but I can't remember the month exactly. Yeah. It was just on autopilot, and I think it was then we took it out of the app store because we had to like also tell the developers, hey, okay, we're just killing the
Yeah.
whole thing, right? Yeah, I think somewhere then, but yeah, after that happened, we basically went back to like working like full time. We still organized some house parties, and yeah, that was it for Ditto. But for me, after that point, I had like this very good like interest and love for apps, right? Then I went around that time was when I joined Leilong, which is a marketplace
Okay.
in Malaysia. It used to be like the OG marketplace in Malaysia, the big number one, right? Then Lazada was fighting for market share, and then you had Shopee and 11th Street. All those guys came in, right? So I basically joined Leilong. At that point in time, they were the ones who were trying to like fight to get back to reclaim their old glory, right?
Okay.
So their app was very outdated. So I joined then, and my job was to actually refresh the app, right? Give it a new look, functionalities and whatnot. So that's what I did. Right after that, yeah, I
Okay.
joined and did that. Yeah.
So, during COVID, the world changed, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever think of that oh, we have this app sitting in the not in the drawers, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but can we tweak it or change it
To
to
make it.
yeah to make it useful? Because a lot of people came up with stupid shit and made millions
Yeah.
during COVID. Did that ever?
Yeah, at one point I was thinking, shit, why can't I just switch this to like some streaming platform, right? We already had the module of the coin, right? Why don't we just put it as a streaming platform where people can go online and stream, and then people buy the coins and then basically just give the coins out like they do on
Okay.
other streaming platforms. But like, and the market is like there's tons of that out there,
Okay.
and it's just gonna be like you replicating the same thing. I mean, it would be good for us to make money for ourselves, but I still have that in my head, like would the VC want to buy into this?
Yeah.
Because like of the money, like you have like TikTok, all these big guys that have like hundreds of dev teams that can make changes like in 2 days. You might take you like 2 months to make changes.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it wasn't worth it. It's just like, yeah, one-off ideas that came out. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think we have to wind it up now. Any messages for people who are struggling or who want to become an entrepreneur or have an idea in their head, haven't executed on it?
Right.
From your experience,
Right.
any words?
I would say, you actually made a very good point. It's like if you can't think of the monetization like right off the bat, right, you really need to rethink the whole idea
Yeah.
if it's something, right, unless you dead sure that it's something that would work, right? And also like you need to also when you say something that will work, you need to also like quantify that, right? Are you talking about like 100 million like ringgit, or kind of like you want to get that kind of like funding, or do you just want to have something that is fun that can put food on your table and you don't have to stress yourself like working for someone else? It's like you have to really quantify and define what success means to you first before you go into an idea, right? Because if not, then you're gonna be you're gonna be stuck in a situation where like you're not hitting your numbers and whatnot. But like going back to advice for someone out here, like enjoy the process, right? If you're struggling, if you already started your startup and you're not hitting your numbers, right? Always be open to get feedback from people, right? Don't always like, oh, you go and someone says something, even if this like a VC tells you something, they say it in a very blunt way, right? Don't take it like, oh, this person is doing this to hurt me, right? There might be something there you can take and then make the best out of it, right? Tweak that, and if you need to pivot whatever you're doing, right? But first of all, you need to analyze that, see if it makes sense, right?
Yes.
And then take your time. Like if this is something blunt to you, don't react to it. Then take your time when you're calm. Then think about that. Give it a bit of thought. See if you need to work on it or whatnot. Then you take that, right? Because it's very, very important to get feedback. If not, you're basically just gonna build something no one wants to use.
Yeah,
right?
because any idea in anyone's head makes 110% sense. But when I spit it out to you that, oh, I have this idea, it might be complete horse shit, you know? So, and that's one of the problems with founders, that they don't take the feedback or criticism well. Their egos are so far up their ass. They said, you're just pulling me down. So that's very important. You're right that, you know, feedback, any feedback is good, you know. Good feedback is good, of course, but the negative feedback, it's better than good feedback, because you know, you can see your flaws, that fuck, I can do this. And especially with VCs as well. Okay, VCs, not all of the time they're right, but you know, they're in the market for a long time, and if they're telling you something, it might be for your own good, you know. That if they think the business model you have won't make any money, and if they say pivot, so you know, think about it. Don't say no, my fucking idea is writing on the wall, no one can change it, you know.
And one thing I would say is definitely like, if you have an idea, like if you can bootstrap it and it's not gonna cost you a bomb to do it, right? Try it and then learn from how users use your app. Because one of the things we're doing, we're constantly looking at the data. Like from the get-go, we made sure we had like a dashboard to see who's putting up the request, what's their age, what time of day they're putting up the request, and stuff like that. We basically had all those analytics to then tell us, okay, this is what we'll expect on Thursday. There's going to be a lot user engagement, because usually Thursday there's ladies' night and people put up those kind of requests, for example, right? So we made sure that like we're really listening to what users were doing, how they're using the app, and then basically enhancing that experience for them. Because at the end of the day, users are the people you're building the app for.
Yeah.
So that's definitely,
and they're your customers. They're going to bring you money at the end of the day. Okay.
So I would say, definitely listen to your users. But before you do stuff, run your ideas with like, maybe get a mentor, someone that's already run their own startup, possibly in like a similar industry. Run your ideas by them and get their feedback and see if it does make sense or not. But like, always reserve, like I would say, it's kind of like giving out equity. Always reserve like 51% of the decision making to your own gut feeling, right? But always take up like others' feedback and in your decision making process, because that's really helpful.
Exactly. And it's very important for founders to join accelerators programs or incubators, because you cannot know everything. And before I joined the couple of accelerators I joined, I didn't know a lot of things. And it's very important. Some are paid, some are free, but there are tons of them out there. And especially now they're coming more and more. Antler just started their thing from Malaysia. So there is a lot of thing. Learning is out there. Even if you don't want to, there's YouTube, there's so many podcasts you can listen to. So it's always good to listen to and get before you get into it, rather than thinking, oh, that's not a problem, I can do it. These are the mistakes I made. Not a problem, I can do it, you know.
But it does kill.
It does kill you, because as I said, our ideas make a lot of sense in our head,
Yeah.
It doesn't.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause, yeah, everything sounds good. And also what you were mentioning earlier about Antler, actually Edward works at Antler.
Oh, for Malaysia.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Okay. Okay.
like if I was to do it now and have someone, hey, is your VC interested in this? Yeah,
Oh, I
but like,
applied for to
oh really?
Antler, yeah,
Yeah.
and I was successfully rejected.
Yeah. One of my friends applied to the one in Singapore, like for his startup. He
Uh-huh.
wanted this whole like super app thing, back home. But yeah, it was yeah. But like all those stuff give you tons of experience. Like
Yeah,
even going to
exactly.
pitch to a VC and then just hearing the kind of questions they ask you will make you like, oh shit, I never thought about this, right? Like
Yeah,
there's some things you never think of, like
yes, yes.
as a founder, like you end up like learning
Yeah, exactly.
from that. But yeah, I would say that would be my advice. And for me, just one last one from a personal standpoint, for because I started my own marketing agency, right? So I always had this like imposter syndrome thing, right? Like many a times, like I get so scared because I'm African, like, and in Malaysia, it's like it's not one of those places where like your top priority are like people will be like, oh, I trust this person, right? You don't have that. You have to talk your way into people trusting you, right? So like when I started my own agency, I used to always go for pitch. Like people reach out to me because my website, I get leads, organic leads, right? People will reach out to me and they'll be like, oh, I want your service. I'll be like, okay, sure, give me your details. I'll run a quick audit for them and I'll get them on a call, right? Whenever I have to get on that call, I always feel like anxious. I'm like, shit, like if I get on a call and then turn on my video and this person sees me, he's gonna be like, no, I don't want to do business with you, right? I used to always have that thought in my head,
But it
right?
didn't happen. Like
Yeah,
you
it
were
didn't.
okay.
It didn't happen.
It's just in your
Yeah,
head
it's
for
just in
some
my
reason.
head. Like I had to take like maybe like 10, 20 calls to. Then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to school. I never thought about it, but initially it was really something that always at the back of my head. Right? I always used to feel like scared, like, oh, I'm gonna go on this call and this person is gonna say no because of my face. Like surprisingly, never happened. Right? So I still have friends, like African friends, that like want to run their own stuff, right? But they're always still scared about the same thing, like, oh, we're in a foreign country, like nobody would want to do stuff with you because like they'll rather it's very easy for them to just go online and search. They'll see like a Chinese company or like a Malay company or
Yeah.
Indian company, right? Where they can actually it's more relatable, like it's more like something they're used to, right? Rather than you like out of nowhere, like they want to do business with you.
Yeah.
That trust is not there. But like it's just in my head, like after I started doing it, right, I've never gone on a call and someone says that, oh, where are you from? I tell them, and then they'll be like, oh, no, I don't want to do business. I've never had that. Like, and for me, one of the things I get I learned was like body language. Right? I get on a call, right? Sometimes I go to their office to meet them, right? Their body language, right? Is sometimes you start off the call like they're very stiff and whatnot, right? But once you start presenting and you know your shit, right? You see them actually like ease up, like they'll be like, okay, this guy knows his shit. Let's listen to him. It's just a matter of like knowing your shit and then just being confident, right?
Yeah.
Like I would say, like if your idea is something that requires you to pitch to like local people or whatnot, right? Just have that confidence. Just zero out that thought that I'm a foreigner or whatnot. Just find a way to zero it out and try and build that confidence because it's not always gonna be what you have in your head. It's not people are not gonna be like, oh, because of you, I don't want to do this. Nah, it's
And
not.
see, the racism is everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. And if someone wants your services of your company and they don't know who you are,
Yeah.
if the deciding factor is what the person looks like,
Yeah.
the guy is running the show, then I don't want to do fucking business with them.
Exactly.
They can go fuck themselves, right? You want something, I'm giving it to you.
Yeah.
It's a trade, right?
Yeah.
I'm giving you services, you're giving me money. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But I mean, what if I'm yellow, red, black, brown? It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
If the customer has that thinking, I wouldn't personally do business with them.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Not even like fuck you.
Yeah, it's like a filter. It helps you also filter your potential client also. If someone is all about that, but I've never had that problem, and I still see like some of my friends that like have that kind of mentality, and it's something I'm sure like a lot more people will have, right? Especially if you're not local, or even if you're local, right? People always have like, oh, like Malay people want to do business with Malay people. Like just try and like, I mean, sometimes it might be the case, right? But it does help you filter out. Just try and just go for it, right? Don't use because of that you limit your reach, right? Yeah, just
and
go for
like
it.
my experience here, it's the minute you tell that you're not, or the minute they find out that you're not from here, they have so many questions, which is very very nice. Like like the question I always get, why Malaysia?
Yeah.
Like because it's it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's never, I've never had that issue. Anyone saying, "Oh no,"
Yeah.
but it's always the curiosity,
Yeah.
which I think helps expats connect to them more.
Yeah.
Because then once you start telling them story, like
Yeah.
once I tell them why I ended up in
Yeah,
Malaysia to do
exactly.
what I'm doing, they say, "Oh wow," you know.
Yeah.
So, and if it was the same person who was already like a local, they might say, okay, this is just a business transaction.
Yeah.
I don't like the rates or whatever.
Yeah.
So once you have that personal connection, like, oh wow,
It makes
you
it
know,
easier.
yeah, it makes it easy. You've broken the ice,
Yeah.
which is very important.
Yeah.
If you're making a sale,
Yeah.
which we always
Yeah,
are. So like, I've never had that issue
Yeah.
there, never.
Yeah, that's a good thing because like even one of my client, right? It was the first time I got on a call with like a Malay client, right? And then I got on a call with him. The guy was so like interested. I was like, "Oh, how long have you been here?"
Yeah.
We talked like, "What's your favorite food? Do you speak Malay?" I was like, "A bit." And then after that, like he was like, "Okay." We had the call. I presented to him. He's like, "Oh yeah, sure." He's like, I'm gonna be in KL next week because they're based in Langkawi. I'm gonna be in KL next week. You want to catch up for lunch?" And we went to lunch. He brought his team, like 4 of them. They came. We had lunch, and I thought maybe the lunch was more of like to like suss me out and stuff like that.
just-
But it was just more of like the guy just wanted to. It was like his first experience, right? During the lunch, they're just like we're just talking about stuff, experiences, where you've been to, this, that. At the end of the day, they're like, okay, we like your audit that you presented to us. Like, yeah, let's kickstart project. And I tell you, one interesting thing about this, right? This same one client has referred me to 4 other businesses.
Oh, great.
It's like, he's like, whenever people talk to him, he's like, he always tells them, like, oh, go talk to Precious, he'll help you sort it out, right? So anything marketing, right? They're trying to make a decision. They'll be like, hey, Precious, what do you think about this? It just, for me, it's just like mind blowing, right? That you just meet someone and like just cause you just put like all the stuff your head is telling you and just be confident and do your shit, you actually build this relationship that is actually bearing huge fruit, right? Because like now they want to like always be like ask me stuff to give recommendation, and they're referring me to their friends like, oh, he's gonna help you sort this stuff out. So it's like it's just amazing to see how like, well, like regardless of our differences, that people can still actually connect and like do business and have that very good connection in place. So yeah, it's just
you know, in my opinion, I think the way what you have, you were thinking that you could have this problem and you didn't. The reason, I think, because Malaysians are multicultural themselves.
Right.
There are 3 different races, which makes Malaysia Malaysia. So anyone new in, because you know they're used to it. So that's why one of the reasons I don't think they will be judgmental or racist towards one race, because that's what they've been. True. They grew up with. So which is a great thing in my opinion. Right. All right. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks for having
me. It was really fun. It was really fun chat. And I wish you all the success with your marketing agency.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks for your time once again. Okay, Precious.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure.
Have a nice day.
You
Cheers.
too. Thanks.